Charles, before we get to our next guest, I just have to remark on this. The Chicago Tribune is completely irrelevant, okay? But it doesn't mean it has no entertainment value. Unintentionally, of course. Chicago Tribune editorial about BLM Brandon Johnson's victory gushes over his charisma, something that, and oratory skills, something his predecessors didn't possess, and so forth. But they write this. He, Brandon Johnson, found a place for God, but not strikingly for Barack Obama, inarguably the most important leader this city has ever produced. So they're criticizing Brandon Johnson for thanking God for his victory, which is fine and shows some level of humility, which is nice. He thanked God, but he didn't thank Barack Obama. And of course, Charles, in Chicago, there's God, and then one step above God is Barack Obama.
Affectionately known as Black Jesus.
Black Jesus.
Yeah.
Just like Trump is Orange Jesus. Yeah, right. It's just, I just love that line. This is what happens when you have a half-ass art critic as your editorial page editor.
I know it's amazing, man. It's
a laugh riot.
Classic white liberal.
Oh,
BS.
What a laugh riot the Chicago Tribune editorial page is now.
John Cass editorial page?
John Cass out. That's a staff editorial. John Cass got out just in time.
The whole thing. Read the front page. It's got a narrative. The front page has a narrative.
Yeah. No, it's a wonderful pamphlet.
The news.
All right. Speaking of local elections and getting out to the suburbs, there were some bright spots. I like to report on the bright spots. They're not a lot from my perspective, but one of them, by the way, because a lot of people inquired about the candidates to support in St. Charles 303 on the show. 3 of the 4 candidates I wanted to win won, and they're, common sense, small C conservatives who I think are going to bring some accountability to the school board and also now have a majority of that school board. So maybe some things will start to change in a positive direction in St. Charles. Another bright spot in Naperville, of all places. That's where things are. You're surprised when there's anything right of Mao happening in Naperville. Josh McBroom is a Naperville-based financial advisor, and he's a newly elected city councilman, along with newly elected mayor Scott Worley, although I'm not saying they ran together, but new leadership in Naperville. And Josh McBroom joins us now. Josh, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, pleasure. So when should Naperville residents expect the public housing towers on the Riverwalk to go up?
That was a big topic in town, and, the politically correct term is affordable housing.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah.
Right, yeah, say it right. On the south side of Naperville, you've got a whole lot of people that have been leadership positions in our downtown, which has become, if you drive around downtown Naperville, it's very blue. And those are the individuals that talk about affordable housing, but they don't necessarily want it by their neighborhood. And there's a lot of equity and inclusion talk from that community. And we're to the point in Naperville where about 20% of our population are South Asian, and they largely live in the south side of Naperville. And we think that they kind of woke up to this whole idea of inclusion and equity landing in their neighborhood and not so much in the neighborhood of the people who were championing it. So, I think that our minority community in Naperville actually came out for our political conservatives.
Thank goodness for the minorities, because the white people are lost, I know. So where does the wind farm go?
Right. Yeah, I think Naperville did make a statement. And if you look at the midterms, and especially DuPage County, deep blue. And so all of us who were right of center or right or whatever you want to call us, extremist, right?
Yeah, right.
We were concerned that we had a chance, and I do think that Naperville residents did make a statement that, hey, we're done with the nonsense. Enough is enough. And our message and Worley as well is hey, we got to get the politics off these local boards. And I think people saw that. And they came out and they voted. I think we even got crossover votes. I think we got Democrats that voted for us that were just like, hey, can we just get back to city business? These are
Well,
nonpartisan things, right?
yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I mean, on a serious note, that's what I was going to ask. Is as I understand it, you're conservative, and Naperville is basically more or less lost its mind collectively. And so, how did you win?
Yeah, I think that I think people saw that some of the candidates were ideologues. I mean, of course, they would call me that as well. Anybody that spoke up locally here in Naperville, so small businesses and children to get back in school was an extremist. But
did you attack,
I do think that
did you attack Trump? Did you attack DeSantis? Did you call for public funding of abortion? What did you do? Because I assume you weren't honest about who you were. You had to mask yourself, because that's what I understand Republicans need to do from Republicans or Paul Vallis. You have to pretend you're somebody you're not in order to win in places like Naperville.
They do tell you that, right? And I never ran away from anything. There's a group called Awake Illinois that I was involved with, and which is a group that's a child welfare advocacy group. And they've been turned into, if you were ever in a picture with anyone with, an awake parent, you're this monster
right.
that wants to erase LGBTQ kids. And it's just not, it wasn't in my DNA. I'm not going to run away from it. I didn't run the race with an Awake Illinois flag, but, I think people saw, and I did have a decisive win. And I think it shocked a lot of liberals in Naperville. They couldn't believe that somebody like this would win. But there's a whole lot of parents in Naperville who have been effectively silenced for speaking out against what happened to kids and all the craziness that has gone on. And they quietly went into they saw Josh as a guy who really put himself out there. I was elected on the park board at the time. We sued the governor over the shutdowns, and my family took a lot of abuse. And my career, and people contacted my employers, and they all saw that, and I think they all came out and they felt like, hey, Josh put himself out there, and I think it helped. I think it was thousands of parents who felt like they needed to make their voice heard, and but then again, just going down the line of like, hey, this stuff shouldn't be partisan. We need to stop. And we saw candidates in Naperville that got state level money, they got union money. And I think even moderate, middle of the road people were like, enough is enough. Enough is enough. So it feels good.
Yeah, that's actually pretty encouraging. I just want to restate again. So you were who you are, like the person you were on the park board, the person you were even before you were elected, as a financial advisor professionally, and how you interact in school communities and elsewhere. That's who you were when you ran, and you didn't try to pantomime being something else to try to appeal to this particular intemperate constituency or that particular intemperate constituency. You mentioned the trying to erase LGBT kids. That was a phrase that was used by Paul Vallis to disassociate himself with Awake Illinois because he had committed the crime, as you said, of attending an event to see what it was all about, but he couldn't stand and deliver. You did stand and deliver. Interesting contrast in styles and approaches.
I
Scott,
still think people appreciate genuine people.
Yeah,
right. I'll live and die on that. Yeah,
I think so too. I think that's the way to live. Scott Worley, the mayor-elect there, said his priority is combating mental illness, bringing people together to address the incidence of mental illness. I mean, I'm all for people who have mental health issues, particularly children who have these mental health struggles because of what adults decided to do during COVID. I'm all for helping them, of course, who wouldn't be. But I mean, is that really the province and focus of the mayor's office, of the city council, of the city government?
I don't know. I mean, I think that Scott Worley is going to be great for the city. I think he's going to be a no-nonsense business kind of guy. And yes, I get what you're saying, Dan. I was annoyed in the campaign, especially people on the left, talking about mental illness. And it's like, why do we have a crisis? Did anyone warn? Did anyone say anything about this? Now your focus is on mental health. It's like, come on. So yeah, no, I mean it's something that I'm concerned about. I was concerned about. Obviously, I made my voice heard 3 years ago about what's going to happen if we do this. But no, for me, it's public safety. Everyone knows what's going on in Naperville. Fleeing and eluding is up 500% in the last 3 years. You talk to the cops on the street.
Wow.
Everyone knows what's going on. And economic development, get back to business. Let's keep Naperville a great place. By all measures, it's still a great place to live. And we need to know that it's because we have a vibrant local economy and it's safe and we have great parks and city amenities. And that did resonate. You know, people are like, oh yeah, that's what local officials are supposed to focus on, right?
Actually, talk a little bit more about that, because obviously Naperville is a big community. It's not Chicago, but it's the third largest community in Illinois behind Aurora. Is that where you are?
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
third, fourth, something like that. And so, and you've got that downtown Riverwalk, all those businesses. I mean, it's basically like a mini Gold Coast there in downtown Naperville. So, what is the philosophy of policing, particularly when you've got some of these knuckleheads on the city council and certainly in your electorate? What is the philosophy of policing, protecting the business district, dealing with residential crime like you were just describing? If it's spiked that much, people have to be taking notice.
Yeah, it's really hard to look at the stats. I mean, we just got ranked like the safest, right before the election, the safest large city in the state, I think, and that was touted. But
how much did that cost to get that ranking?
And Pritzker even retweeted it. It was nice. But when I talk to the cops, they need more resources, and they're concerned. And if we can't chase down criminals, what crimes are not showing up in the stats? And illegal gun seizures have spiked over the last couple of years. There are gang members that are hiding out in Naperville because of the safety. Everyone knows it, and they need more resources, and that would be a focus of mine. They need better technology. We need more cops, and hey, Brandon Johnson getting elected in Naperville. Maybe we'll just do signing bonuses and recruit a bunch of Chicago cops and bring them out here.
There you go, Josh McBroom. He's a Naperville-based financial advisor and a newly minted city councilman in the city of Naperville. Josh, congratulations on your victory, and best of luck on the council.
Thank you, Dan. Have a good day.
You too. Josh McBroom joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers. This one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
Roofs you can rely on.
because you can. Here's the number to call
847-623-1625.
and get the info at waukeganroofing.com. waukeganroofing.com.
Attention to all homeowners, contractors, and realtors. It's Sean Thompson. Do you have unwanted items cluttering your space?